Hi, here's good evening, everyone. It's another edition of the Minding Our Business Live. Thank you for joining me, all of you, on all the social media platforms as we try to go live each and every Sunday. You probably missed us last Sunday. We had some technical difficulties and weren't able to go live, but we're back at you this week. Daylight savings time here in the US, so it's thrown off our timing a little bit. So we decided to start right at 6:30 this evening. We usually start at 6, but to give us all some time to get adjusted to the time change. But coming up tonight, we have another great session. This session is designed for all of you just starting out and many of you who may already be on your journey. So again, I'm Lionel. I am your guide on this journey to financial stewardship. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. So, tonight, what we will be discussing, this session is called Mastering Your Money Flow. Basically, you have to tell every dollar where to go if you want to be a good steward. So, as we start out, we're going to go into our anchor scripture for the evening. And tonight we are going to get right into what you need to know in order to um, manage your resources and just stay in tune and be a good steward. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here. My screen disappeared for a second. So, just to help you manage your resources and get on track to financial stewardship. So, we're going to start out with Proverbs 27 and 23. We're going to read this from the New International Version, and it reads, "Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds." So again, we teach financial stewardship from a biblical perspective, but we're going to get right into the mechanics of managing your money this evening. Just based on some of the feedback we got from all of you, we typically like to put out inspirational things, useful pieces for you, but we're really going to dive into giving you the nuts and bolts that you need in order to actually manage your finances, not just from theory and mindset, which is brutally important to get your mindset and your theory base down first. But now we're going to get into some of the technical work you need to do. So, as you all know, the Bible is based on an agricultural economy, but there's many things we can learn in this consumer and tech-based economy from an agricultural economy. So there are some principles that will guide us through this current day and age. So as we look at that, how do we translate that agricultural theme into a modern day theme? And I have it right there for you. If you track it, you can manage it. So whether it's flock or agriculture, or it's work hours, or it's investment dollars, all those things can be tracked. And that is the very beginning of financial stewardship. So, as we begin to talk about this, we're going to look at a couple points here that I have for you. We're going to look at this illusion that happens with our bank accounts where we're not tracking it. We're mentally trying to understand what's happening. We have a charge card that we're using or a debit card, but you also have things that you may have on subscription, on auto pay, or things you might have forgot about that are hitting your account. We're going to then dive into what is the problem. The problem is you don't actually have a tracking system. I'm going to introduce you to a framework, the actual spreadsheet tool that we use with a lot of our clients, and I will make that available to you as a gift as well. So let's move on. So the next thing we're going to look at here is how this becomes a problem for us. So I'm asking you this question. Have you ever checked your bank balance and thought you had more money in there than what was actually in there? It probably was a result of those things I just mentioned. You probably signed up for something on a short-term subscription. didn't cancel it, forgot about what date it was when you signed up for it. So that's now your landmark date that it's due. In another framework, I talked about the 1st through the 15th and the 15th through the 30th. That's in the planning stage when you're setting up your operating account. So that's an important piece, knowing when things are going to hit your account. Maybe again, it's that card that you have. So you have bills that are coming out, you have other subscriptions, auto pay, all types of things tied to your account, but then you also have a debit card that you're probably using every single day. So those transactions are not coinciding and gelling properly because you're not tracking them. And then that's when certain things hit your account, you're not aware of it. And then you can incur fees, overdraft, overages, failure to pay maybe on some of your bills, which then incurs more fees. So that is really the problem. You're not actually, as the scripture would say, you're not tracking the flock. So let's move on and kind of really unpack this for you. So in this next slide, what I want to talk about, it's just like your health. Many of us wear digital tracking tools like smartwatches and all kinds of fitness trackers. We track our steps. Many of us are health conscious, so we're tracking our macros, our calories, our intake of proteins and fats and different things. If you're trying to stay healthy, build muscle, depending on what phase you are of your life, you might be involved with that. Or maybe you are having some health conditions and the doctor's telling you you have to begin to track your sodium and other things that you're intaking. We all have various ways and various systems right now in our life to track our activity. But it doesn't have to be that way where you're not tracking your money or just giving over that responsibility to your banking institution, to whatever little app you have on your phone that's just telling you the result of the activity. It's not helping you plan or actually forecast or create the trends of your activity. And that's what we're going to talk about today. On the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the key parts to make this all work. There are really just 3 steps to make this work. First, you need to track it. You need to know where your dollars are going. I like to look holistically at the month. You can look in intervals every single week. You should be doing that. And that's really to look at how your behaviors are tied to that card that you have. How are you using that? So that's what you should be tracking every week. How are you spending your money on a weekly basis? The next thing you should be tracking, you should be tracking how are you going to project and plan for what's going to happen. And finally, you should be reviewing these things all the time. All right, so we're going to get into this budget tracker tool that I have here, and we're going to take a look at how do you actually make these things happen. So that's really the key. This week, we're going to focus on the tracking it, but then we are going to actually move into some other phases of this work. Okay, so I am going to just quickly switch my screens here, and I'm going to allow you to do this tracking with me. So I'm all queued up for the month here in my demo. So I'm going to actually scroll out here so you guys can take a look at my screen. And this is a tool that we share with all of our clients, and I am happy to share it with all of you. So this is something you should be looking at. So it's the 2nd of the month. It's the first weekend in November. It's the perfect time to get in here and track what I did in October. So that's really the goal of what I'm trying to show you. So as we talk about these weekly meetings, right? So this is on the monthly frequency or cadence. We talked about the weekly plan, and I'll go over that again probably next week just to tie these things together. So we'll do monthly, weekly, and then we'll talk about your daily execution. So on a monthly basis, first weekend of the month, first week of the month. You should be getting back when those statements are produced by your credit card and your bank companies and looking at your activity for the entire month. And then on a weekly basis, you want to be tracking what you did the previous week and then creating a plan for what you're going to do the upcoming week. And we'll focus on that in our next live session. But as we look at this, I have an overall trend line. Sorry, this may be a little small, so let me increase the size just so you can see it. So it's going all the way back to January, and I have columns on the left to give me the line items that I'm tracking. And as I go across each of these rows, this is giving me the data that I need. So again, this is a faith-based budget that I'm running. So you can see how much money I'm making every month here. So I'm making about $7,900 a month. I have 1 or 2 months here where I made a little extra cash with my side hustle. And then right away, the spreadsheet automatically calculates that 10% for the tithing. You guys know my framework, the 10-10-80 framework. It talks about 10% to giving, 10% to saving, and then we live off the 80%. So the budget tracker is designed to show you that information right off the top. So as we look at it, I have my tithing amount, I have my saving amount in place, and now it gives me, auto calculates for me my operating budget. That's a really important term. How much money are you operating out of? Many of us are operating out of a budget that's imaginary. So it's not the actual money you have available. That's why you overspend every single week or every single month, because you don't actually know the number that you're operating with after your taxes, after savings, after your charitable giving. You should know exactly what that number is. So my net number is about $7,400, give or take a few dollars here. Let's just say $7,300, $6,300. I'll round it down. So from here, I'm going into my fixed expenses. So in this example, I pay rent, it's $1,200. So in the spreadsheet here, I can just drag over that amount and get that to populate over for me for this current month. So my electric fluctuates. This month, it was the summer, I ran my AC a little bit. But we're transitioning into this cooler part of the year. So as I'm looking at my bill, I only spent about $198.56 is what my bill says. So I'll just plop that in there. My internet's another fixed bill. So I'll just drag that over. And all you're doing is going line by line, taking the information from your statements, from your bills, inserting into the tracker, and the tracker is doing the math for you once you get down to your bottom line. So I'm just going to go through real quickly here and drag over some of these values quickly, because my internet and my insurance, right, my car note, all those things are the same every single month. So I'm just going to drag them over. So it makes the spreadsheet kind of easy for me to fill out this first section. And it's designed like this to get you a little bit of momentum as you drag over your fixed expenses. All right. So, and of course, the very first month you set this up, it's a little more actual data entry because you're entering the values for the very first time. All right, I've gone in, I've entered all my fixed expenses. I forgot to drag over my income. Well, it's like I didn't get paid that month, but I did get paid. So there we go. My income went in. It automatically calculated how much my tithing was for that month, how much should be in my savings account for that month, that addition. So I saw my $6,379 was my operating budget, all my fixed bills, my rent, my electric, my internet. I have a storage unit, all these things that are very common, couple subscriptions for my television, wellness clinic here. I like to go get my ice baths and my massages. And down at the bottom here, then I'm getting into my credit cards. So let me just go ahead and drop this in here. So I've been paying down my credit card this month. It was only $298.64 was my payment. So I entered that. And my second credit card I like to use, like I said, I've been paying this down. So now my payment for this month was $350.24. And one with the least revolving balance on it, that one was only $99.30 this particular month. So there it is. my fixed expenses. I'm on this trend line where I'm trying to be a better steward, save a little bit more money. And most of that is coming from paying down my debt on my credit cards. So it was about $3,800 out of that $6,300 that I spent last month on just my fixed expenses. But this is the moment now where my will and my mindset for my budget has the most opportunity to add more back up to my savings line. And that's in my variable expenses, the things I have control over. And this is usually the part of the budget that we misappropriate the most. And this is the hardest part of the budget to manage. It's your variable expenses, your groceries. So I'm tallying my receipts for my groceries. I've been meal prepping and staying on budget. So I spent about $396.52 this month on groceries. I've been cutting back on my dining out. It's been one of the things that has been hindering me. As you can see, I've had months where I spent as much as $900 in the summertime out entertaining, having a good time. But now I'm trying to be really strict about that. So this month, I was adamant about listening to Lionel and budgeting just $300 for dining out. So I kept it at $300 and I'll add a 29 cents on there because there's always some change in there after all my tips and things I provided. My gas is pretty much about the same every single month. This month I drove a little bit more. It was $215.62. Let me pop that in there. I didn't have any extra travel. So there's places in here in case you rent cars or you take a Lyft or you go on a trip and pay for a hotel. There's stuff in there. But I've been really trying to dial in and be a good steward. So didn't take any trips this month. I kept my shopping down to about $150 this month. Again, Lionel's been coaching me in this minding our business thing about cutting down my variable expenses so I have more money to contribute to my savings, to that opportunity fund, because I really want to buy a house. So I kept it to $150 this month. So I'll just plug that number in there. I didn't have any medical expenses. I had a couple appointments this year. I plugged those in and did get my haircuts and nails and all those things that we all get, the personal maintenance, whatever that is for you, whatever your self-care routine is, you should be plugging in that number. And pretty much I was conservative this month. So what that I've been bringing my expenses down. You can see the high mark was over the summer. I spent a lot of money that month. I traveled, but now I've been able to reduce my expenses to just $1,400. And so my total expenses now. So this is where you should be looking at your total. So we went through, we inputted our income. It told us automatically how much we should have given back to the Lord, how much we should have put into our opportunity fund right away. Opportunity fund is that savings account that you're building the 3 to 6 months of expenses and then deploying it once it gets to 6 months into an investment opportunity. And once I combine now, I've inputted all of my fixed expenses, all my standard living expenses, everything from the rent, the electric, the internet. You guys all saw how many line items I had on there. Then I put in all the variable stuff, my eating out, my dining, my self-care, and that arrived at $5,315 is what my combined total expenses are, my variable and my fixed. So that leaves me now $2,659 that I have as money that is discretionary funds. I know many of you say, well, that's extra money. Well, I believe the statement that was made by a guy who once was the richest man in the world, Warren Buffett, he said, no one has extra money. This is now resources that I can allocate to things that are important to me that line up with my core value, whether it's charitable giving, whether it's saving up for the impending holidays. I got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and I'm going to want to buy gifts. I can begin to make conservative decisions and allocate money, We looked at the 7 account framework. Maybe I want to put some money into my maintenance fund to maintain my vehicle. If I haven't done that, maybe I want to put a couple extra $1,000 into my opportunity fund if I haven't gotten to my 3 months or my 6 months as of yet. So this is when, by doing very detailed tracking, I can now get to the amount of money I have available and make very detailed decisions, and now begin to allocate additional dollars into parts of my life that are either future goals, or maybe they're current goals and things that I want to do to help the people around me and support the ministries and charitable organizations that I'm affiliated with. So I hope this was beneficial to you tonight to actually see a process. This took us about less than 20 minutes to actually go through the tracker. There is some additional work. You should have gone through your bank statements and your credit card statements in order to extract this data to pop it into the tracker. But what I want to show you is that it is doable, is that we all have the ability to be good stewards by actually, as the scripture said, we are looking in here and we are taking stock of our flock. As it says, we are looking at the condition of our flock. What has the Lord blessed us with, and how are we attending to it, and what is our plan? So again, what we did tonight was the first step to track it. We're knowing the condition of the flock. This is showing us that. Another great thing about this spreadsheet that I love is when you scroll over to the right, the year to date. This is when you can now see the compound effect of your behaviors by saving, trying to actually increase your bottom line so that you have dollars available to meet the needs that you have. So thank you for joining me tonight on this live stream. I've had a great time today with you going over the tracker. And like we always say, stop scrolling, make some time, and begin to mind your business. Thank you for all of you for joining us on the live. Continue to comment, like, subscribe, share with other people so we can get this message of stewardship out to the masses. All right. Have a great Sunday evening and start minding your business. Thanks for joining us at the MOB Academy. Now stop scrolling and go mind your business.